calling this Hawaii Board on Geographic Names meeting to order at 2:05 on this day, Tuesday, August 6th. First order of business as roll call. I'll begin. Marcus Marzon, representing Bishop Museum, Chair.
I'm Holly McEldowney. I represent the Department of Land and Natural Resources.
Arthur Buto, representing Mary Alice Evans from the Office of Planning and Sustainable Development.
Maya Cummins, representing the Land Survey Division for the state.
And I see Kapa on the line. I don't know if you're traveling or if you have a microphone, if you want to. Are you able to unmute yourself?
Just
lost her. Okay, but we have
Four.
We have quorum.
All right. So next on the agenda, review and approval of the meeting minutes of July 2nd.
We have
Sorry, Papa of the University of Hawaii at Manoa. I'm using my phone and I'm not used to zooming on my phone, so come up and things with it.
No problem. Thanks.
Okay, thanks for joining.
Yeah, thanks, Kapa.
So does anyone have any edits or additions to the minutes as drafted?
I do not. I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as they are.
I get a second?
Second.
Okay, moved by Meyer, second by Kapa. Any other comments? Hearing none. Any opposed? All right, motion carried. Next on the agenda, public comments.
I didn't receive
Nothing
anything
at this time?
Yeah, nothing from me.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, Arthur. Announcements. The next on the agenda.
Nothing for me.
Nothing. None. Okay, moving swiftly through this agenda. The next thing on the agenda, discussion about using Hawaiian terminology instead of English descriptors in feature names and suggesting Hawaiian terminology in the GNIS, sorry, feature class descriptions.
So we started some discussion last month. I included in the meeting packet the list that who's not here. Lily, sorry.
Yeah.
That Lily prepared. So she had some words, some terms highlighted, and I'm not sure if she added some terms, and also suggested removing a term. So I don't know if anybody's had a chance to think about it some more or look at it some more. But it's on the agenda this month, so we can continue the discussion.
I appreciate her effort.
Yeah, same here. Well, I like that they're included, but I don't know if we want to replace them, all with Hawaiian words, or if we want to go sort of case by case as we have been in a lot of these issues. It's because it might exclude some of the users from understanding the feature. They have to keep going back and forth between the list, between Hawaiian and English. Or maybe my understanding is wrong there. But I do think the Hawaiian featured names or descriptors are appropriate in certain instances. But again, I think it's a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, to be clear, what we're talking about is adding Hawaiian terms to the descriptions of the feature class. We're not talking about replacing any.
Okay.
any terms, any feature class.
Thanks, Arthur. Yeah, I have no problem with adding them at all. I think that's appropriate, actually.
Yeah, so are there any that, any additional terms to add to the descriptors that you come across in your research that would help clarify for the board?
I haven't, but much of the work that I do it's a lot of it's in English. So I haven't come across anything new. No.
So reading as it states here, are the suggestion is to replace the English with Hawaiian terms. So the
No,
Hawaiian.
no. This is a totally different.
Okay.
Okay.
This is, yeah, maybe I need to fix this description.
So if you're looking at the map, it
Yeah.
would still have the
Yeah.
English. Yeah. But
So this
be
would
an
only live
alternative.
in the GNIS?
Yes, yes.
So it would have English and a Hawaiian term side by side, basically.
Yeah, so when you
in a
go to
field.
when you go to the GNIS now,
Yeah.
And you click on the feature classes because you want to learn more about what valley is or what a gulch
Yes.
is or what a stream is, it has these descriptions
Yes.
in it. So what we're suggesting is that we add some Hawaiian terms that might be meaningful in the research that we're doing
Yes.
when we look at features. So that
So they'll basically live. They will both be present in that form. On
Yeah,
the,
they're not going to
the
appear on a
GNIS.
map.
Yeah.
They're not going to appear
Yeah.
unless you actually dig deep and
Further.
look to see what a feature class entails.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's to help us understand that when the GNIS says that this feature class is a valley, that it can also mean a baba, or it can mean.
Yes.
Arthur, I think the first on item number 5, the first sentence in italics, we should probably take out replace then, just so that there's no
Yeah.
confusion in case
Yeah.
anyone sees agenda. Yeah. But otherwise, yeah, I think that's wholly appropriate. That's my opinion to include that.
An alternative map would be fun. If somebody ever.
True. Maybe when I retire.
And for me, if we do go about doing this and including Hawaiian terms alongside English descriptors, wondering what would the order be? Would it be an English term with Hawaiian in parentheses? Would it be a Hawaiian term, English in parentheses? Would it Hawaiian, it's just how we present it, I think would also be quite significant.
And again, that would be a different discussion.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And something that has come up.
Yeah.
I think Bobby's looked at, removing the word crater, period, from those features in the park.
Yeah.
And some other replacing other English descriptors with Hawaiian, for lack of a better word, feature classes.
Yes.
That is a totally different discussion that will require different sorry, my mind's a blank again.
No, we probably have to add it to the agenda under a different heading to have a different discussion, right? Yeah. I think I saw Bobby holding his hand up. Sorry to
Yes,
interrupt.
I think I saw that as well.
Yes, I was. The discussion is about adding terms to feature class lists.
Mhm.
Okay, and you can have as many as you want. Depression, not mental, but in the ground, can be a poho, a lua, whatever. My brain's not working too well right now, but there's that guy or that website, TRUSSEL, Trussell, and he lists or translates like lake, you know, type in lake and he'll list all the occurrences or all the lake terms in all the different dictionaries. So what this exercise or this process is about is simply adding feature classes to the list. It's like a dictionary to the list in the GNIS. It's got nothing to do with the feature name, which will still be the same unless, like when you folks deleted the word crater from Hi'iaka, then the Hawaiian name stands alone because crater is an English name. And if someone wanted to add the word lua or lua poho as appropriate after the feature name, or before it for that matter, which would be more appropriate, that I believe is allowed. You don't need the feature class to be part of the feature name. I think that's correct. And then another comment is, what is the process for adding names to that list in feature class? Is it an informal thing, or do we need permission from the president, or, you know, can you just send a note to Jenny? Oh, can you update your feature class because we found this other word that refers to crater? And if it's a simple process like that, then I don't think we need to worry about too much. You know, this is not, if we try to be exhaustive here, we'll end up looking at this for years. And that's not, I think, the intent of this.
Yeah, that's correct, Bobby. I think you must have missed the meeting where we started this discussion.
Yeah.
It's not rocket science. It's not
Right.
super formal.
Yeah.
It is something that we will, and Jenny's on the call too, so she can correct me if I'm wrong, but something that we can send to Jenny with, you know, suggesting that these terms be added to the descriptions for these feature classes. What she asked was that rather than doing it piecemeal, is that, you know, if we can just kind of send one time sort of all the terms that we'd like to see there. And that's why we're extending this discussion over multiple meetings.
So just brainstorm terms, basically.
Yeah.
I think Trussell would be a good place to start.
Yeah.
And when you look at the old maps, they don't necessarily say Halawa Valley on the map, on the old like 1912 brown line USGS maps. You know, they're not attaching a feature class name, I don't think, to the name. Okay, I'll be quiet.
No, thank you, Bobby, for all of that. Question just about the list itself. Do you know how it's organized on the GNIS? Alphabetically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, like, you know, if, say, the descriptor is Gulch, and then like there's the different descriptors that
kinds of gulches.
Yeah, the kinds of gulches. Will the Hawaiian term, if we identify one for it, will it just go alphabetically in that list as well, kind of thing?
Yeah.
It's part of it. What we're looking at here is the description that goes along with Gulch. So Gulch has a bunch of different words
associated with that.
Yeah, it'll just be part of that.
Yeah, but is there a particular order of that list of names that
It
that
looks like
follows?
that's also alphabetical.
Oh, alphabetical.
And
Okay.
Yeah. So flipping through Lily's list, one thing that comes to mind up here at the park under bench, I think a term is kaulu, Kaulu. It's like a terrace, or I'm looking it up right now. Yeah, kaulu. Kaulu is ledge, step, jog as on a cliff. So that's basically a word for bench.
Mm.
Kaulu.
I would be inclined to have someone who speaks Hawaiian fluently and has been for a while to make these kind of decisions. So, for example, I can go on Behebehe and just start typing stuff in and get some literal translations, right? But it wouldn't necessarily be correct in context. So, I would hope if we were to add new words, much like Lily did, where she went in and considered certain words for certain things and inserted it. I mean, her Hawaiian's obviously better than mine, but I would prefer that the board gives a thumbs up or thumbs down, but someone with some expertise make the decision as to whether to include a certain word or not. That's just my personal thoughts. Versus the whole board sort of looking up and just gathering all the literal words we can find and sticking them into the feature class.
Right.
But if there's no formal process for this, then as we move along, if we come across new words, the board member that wants to suggest it, I say just throw it out there, and if the board approves it, let's just stick it in and move on and not spend a lot of time on this.
If
I may chime in real quickly. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, hi Lily.
Hi, aloha. Kalamai, I'm on the go. But I did just want to chime in real quick. I think that I appreciate everybody's mana'o so far. And I was just thinking that maybe we can, maybe add in any other words that folks may want to include at this time, and then we can hand it off to Jenny for it to be included. And maybe it's something we can revisit annually or revisit as needed. So then we can try to, update as new terms kind of pop up in conversation, or as we're reviewing maps in the future, we can kind of add it onto a working list and then try to submit it, maybe once a year or at whatever kind of frequency works for us.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Do we need a motion?
I think a motion would be appropriate. It sounds like we might be able to make a decision, at least on the list that we have now.
As a first sense, yeah.
Lily, would you be willing to make a motion?
Yeah, is it a motion to accept the list?
Yeah, I think that would be appropriate. I mean, you already added names, so maybe a motion to accept the list with the highlighted terms you've added already. And then maybe we need a separate motion for creating a side list and then submitting that side list once a year.
Okay, let's start with the first motion, maybe.
Sure.
So I'd like to make a motion that we accept the list as we've reviewed it with the additional highlighted terms to pass along for addition into the GNIS system.
And I'll second that.
So make a motion to accept the current list as stated with the addition of the highlighted Hawaiian terms by Lily and second by Meyer. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Any opposed? Motion carried.
Marcus, can I make the second motion now?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to begin a working list of potential additional Hawaiian terms to be added to the list of feature class descriptions.
Can I get a second?
Sure, yeah, I'll second that.
Okay. Motion was for Lily to create a working list of terms for the feature class names, which will be submitted to annually for updating the feature classes. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you all.
Mahalo, Lily.
Mahalo, everyone.
Well, thank you, Lily, for doing the work.
Okay. With those completed, we can move on to the next agenda item. Discussion and decision on the establishing a permitted interaction group to research the name of the island of Hawaii.
So we have almost all members here. The only one missing is Hailama.
Unfortunately, I do have to leave early today. That's just before 3.
I did want to just kind of throw out for discussion. I think we've discussed a couple times. We were just hoping to get more members, I guess, together when we make the discussion. But I'm in support of creating the PIG, and I'm happy to serve on the PIG for that added discussion.
Thanks, Lily.
Would there be any other members willing to be a part of this interaction group?
We can have up to 3,
Yeah, up to 3.
so up to 2 more.
Is there a minimum number?
Oh, Kapa's got her hand up.
Oh, all
I
right.
think by right I should be on this.
Okay.
I think you'd be good at it.
Lily and Kapa so far.
Only because it caused all of this ruckus. So happy to serve and help figure it out.
Okay.
We had previously, I had talked about also serving on the PIG in a past meeting. I did talk to my division, my administrator, and we don't have any money to send anyone anywhere, so I wouldn't be able to fund any travel. But if there was discussions about sort of mapping and surveying involved or any sort of research, I could serve in that capacity, but that's about it.
I think that would be really helpful. We might need some mapping and graphic support, and if you might be able to kako in that way, I think that would be a huge help.
Sure. Well, then in that capacity, yeah, I will volunteer my services for the PIG. Oh,
So, yeah, so with 3 people, board members identifying themselves as willing to be a part of this interaction group, could I get a motion to establish this PIG? Or are there further
Yeah.
specific
So
outcomes that we have to do?
Besides
time.
who is in the permitted interaction group, we also need to clearly define what the
The
scope,
scope
is.
is.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Bobby's got his hand up again, and his input is always valuable.
Yes, we can. Bobby,
Usually
would you like to
valuable.
add to the-
Thank you. And I'm sorry I missed the last meeting when apparently this was discussed. Living on Hawaii, I wonder why a PIG is necessary. I think during the brouhaha of the last meeting, when it was announced on the news and everybody got on Facebook and it spread like a virus and people were all nuha about you people changing the name of the island. It's like, no, that's not what we're doing. So, you know, it's a thing where nobody's going to say that Hawaii is not the name of this island, right? That's the name, period, Hawaii. Anything else in front or behind it is, in my mind, optional. You know, if you want to put island of or Hawaii Island, that doesn't matter. We are Hawaii. And I think when one considers going out to the community to discuss things, that doesn't always turn out so well, because there is no such thing as a community. You know, and you folks on Oahu know that. You know, your island is so big and so densely populated. What somebody in Waianae is going to be very, very different from somebody in Kahala, is going to be different from somebody in Kahaluu. You know, there's all of these different groups and everybody's making noise, you know, and people aren't interested in understanding the purpose of all this. And the purpose, I believe, is to clear up any misconceptions or I don't know what it is. And you know, I bear, I think, some responsibility for all of this, because I've been bugging people for years. We are not Hawaii Island. You know, if our name in the GNIS is Island of Hawaii, which it is, that's what we have to use. And so then, you know, if we just delete island of or island from the name Hawaii, and it's simple to write, you know, you're not in Hawaii. In Hawaii is the state. On Hawaii is the island. And if people cannot understand that and don't write it properly, that's not my fault. It's not our fault. So that's my little sermon from bed today. Just keep it simple. You know, no need all these meetings. Just say the name of the island is Hawaii. We're not changing anything. And if people want to call it Island of or Hawaii Island, that's fine. You know, do whatever you guys want. Okay, I'm Pao. I yield.
Mahalo, Bobby.
Yeah, thanks, Bobby.
Mahalo.
I think it's important that people understand that what HBGN is, the mission is, right? It's for
Right.
state documentation. We're not trying to dictate the populace's use of the term or the names. And we don't have the authority to change it really anyway. Yeah. So I could see one valuable you know, use of the pig would be to basically go on an explanation, you know, mission tour, excuse me. Thank you very much, Bobby. Which is show up, let people figure out or find out what it is that we are doing. And that might clear the air, generally speaking, anyway. So I think the pig could still have a valuable mission to accomplish. But it doesn't necessarily have to be about just determining the name of the island, but rather just take some time to explain what it is that we do and why we do it.
Yeah. Could that be, and this is again a question out of ignorance of the Sunshine Law and all of those other bureaucratic things, could what you just described, Meyer, be accomplished by interviews with TV stations and radio stations and, you know, write things on appropriate Facebook pages or whatever? I think it could be, because all of the fuss last time was because, you know, there was a notice on the news and somebody said, oh, look at this. And yeah, I don't know if there's something preventing you folks from being interviewed by, you know, Keahi Tucker or whomever, and talking about these things. And it seems easy.
Marcus has done this twice, haven't you, for EL? So I don't know if you've got realistic suggestions on how to best approach it in this situation.
Well, the two pigs that I was a part of, for EL and Aila'au, I think they were very different because in the Iao Stream to Wailuku River instance, the community really wanted to change the name to Wailuku River, and so that one, and with the historical information and everything, and community support for this name change, that was quite different from, say, Ahu'aila'aui, which didn't have any name, and everyone submitting different ideas for what they thought. In this instance, I'm wondering, are all three names, Hawaii, Island of Hawaii, and Hawaii Island, are they all part of the name for the feature?
I believe so.
It's just the official name is Island
Island
of
of
Hawaii, whereas the other two are under the variants.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll have to
Um,
check. I'm
yeah.
not 100% sure
Yeah.
about Hawaii.
Yeah. Okay.
So
So yeah, I think that's where the real question would lie amongst those three names that everyone uses most commonly. Which of those names would a majority, or consensus? And there's not going to be a consensus, but a majority would have for a particular name. That would be my suggestion for how one would go about the process versus the other ways that we addressed it for the other two instances. It was really engaging individual people and groups, as the information was very specific to those instances. But yeah, I think when that whole sensation of in the news about the name change, and everyone coming, when I had seen it, the way it was presented on the news made it seem like we were completely changing the name to something completely different, something that no one has ever heard of, which wasn't the case. We're literally just trying to take out a few words from the official title in these legal documents. But I think that's where the concern lies for most people on which term do people want to see most commonly used in state documents.
Right.
I'd also agree with Bobby. When we open up this can, we're opening it up wide. When really, the reason I put it on the agenda, asked for it to be placed on the agenda, was really to just remove Island of, right?
Right.
But there are other names, just like Maui has had at least a couple of former names. Hawaii Island also has, the one that comes to mind is Lononuiakea. And that's not what I'm trying to do here, right? I'm just trying to remove Island of. But when we open it up for conversation, like the conversation I recall with Ahu'aila'o, we're gonna get a lot of feedback. And some of it could just be folks who have their own name that they think we should call it by, because their daughter's name is Lehua, we should change the name to Lehua, or whatever the case may be. So yes, there's Mokuokabe, there's lots of different names, but for me it comes down to, if there's a map, I really don't want to see Kauai, Oahu, Maui, Molokai, Lanai, all of the names, and then Island of Hawaii.
Right.
So Mokuokabe is another. But at least maybe as a start, I could see it just being Hawaii with Mokuokabe and other names being very, very alternate names.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Kapa.
If I could chime in real quickly, I'm in agreement with, I think, everything that folks shared so far. I think if I were to kind of look at the scope of what the PIG would be, I would want to address a couple components. I think one, I think Kapa is correct in what our intention is. It's the removal of Island of, and preserving of Hawaii in the official name. So I think that that's one component. I think that the supportive component to that is that we should include some source information for.
Ooh, dropped out. Yeah, we lost her. Hopefully she can pop back on. Well, is anyone on the board opposed to just calling it the official term in government documents, Hawaiʻi? I mean, in the context of whatever sentence you use it, it's quite easy to identify whether you're talking about the state or the island.
Right.
So with respect to that, and the fact that Hawaiʻi is already one of the listed names of the variants, I'm not opposed to changing it to just Hawaiʻi.
Yeah, because technically it would just be a reordering of the names. They
Yeah.
all exist there.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
just which one is going to be on the top.
Correct. And even Island of Hawaiʻi doesn't go away. It just, like you said, Marcus, it just goes down on the list of variants, right? So, and I really am not opposed to that whatsoever. We might accomplish this goal, like Bobby says, maybe before we start, a speaking tour, so to speak, maybe reaching out and trying to explain ourselves through the news or through an op-ed or something like that to accomplish the same goal before we make any expenditure of money and travel anywhere. We may be able to put people's minds at rest by just explaining what it is that we're doing, because this is different than what we've done in the past, like you were saying, Marcus, and explain what our mission is and explain why this even showed up on the agenda in the first place. And that might assuage concerns and we'd be done with it. Before, if there's a lot of pushback and we feel it's necessary to actually meet with the public, okay, we can do that. But maybe we can accomplish the goal in sort of one fell swoop or some way easier without expending a lot of money or time first before we decide to form a pig and then come up with a specific mission and task 3 people with accomplishing a certain goal. I'm not opposed to that either.
I have a suggestion. What you described, Meyer, could be articles in Kawaiola, the OHA newspaper. They have a fairly robust circulation. A lot of people seem to look at it or read it. And, the editor, Pua Fernandez Acamine, is always open to articles about culture and what's happening out there. She and I are working on a piece now about, and don't laugh about this, about changing the name of the Aileʻau lava flow that happened in the 1400s to the Kualoaloa flow. And I wrote something about that, and I can send it to Arthur to distribute, or I can send it to you individually. But, it's, to me, it's not a big deal. Call it what you want. I don't really care. But if we have a law and guidelines for using names, then use them correctly. That's it. And if it's Hawaii, so I'm looking at the GNIS right now, and there are all combinations of Hawaii with or without Okina, and island of. Whatever you want to choose, it's in the variants. So yeah, I mean, I think it'd be simple to just say we're Hawaii.
Well, and then also, the list isn't exhaustive. Again, our mission is for government documentation, right? Particularly the people of Hawaii don't have to call it any of these things. Whatever it is they want, how they want to speak of their island, their home, they're free to do so. There's no one's going to make them do anything different.
There's a lot of epithets. I think that's the right word for different islands and different places. And, the fragrant Halabaur of Puna, it's like all of those things. And nobody's suggesting that we add that to the list for Puna, the Puna district on this island. So yeah, I just say keep it simple. Don't make it so complicated.
Thank you, Bobby. I see Jenny, you have your hand raised.
Hi, everyone. Good to see you this evening. And I just had a couple of comments. I like the discussion. This has been great. I just have one, well, I guess a couple of requests. If you do decide to just do an op-ed or articles in the paper, I do ask that please emphasize that for federal use, it must be island of Hawaii. Feds have no choice to use anything else. I mean, they could put Hawaii in parentheses, one of the variants, but that wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. So even though Bobby's right that, obviously federal names are not binding to the state government, and so the state agencies can use whatever name they want. But if you could just do us a favor and please emphasize that for federal use, it must be always Island of Hawaii. That is the one official name. And if you were to decide to pursue a formal proposal to change the name to just Hawaii, that would have to be a proposal, which the Hawaii BGN could initiate. You can be a proponent, and then it would have to go forward to the BGN for review and approval. And I don't know, there might be some, I don't know, pushback, or at least kind of like you had the same thing, the initial reaction about, well, what do you mean we're renaming the island? We'd have to make it clear that, as Lily said, we're only removing island of to be consistent with all the other islands. So again, states, locals, you can use whatever name you want. But again, feds must, in any documentation, maps, must be Island of Hawaii. And of course, the Akina is part of the official name. And then the final thought I had is, Arthur, I know I was going to follow up with you. I think I forgot. Were you able to track down potentially when Island of Hawaii was approved as a change? My notes say it was around about June 2000. I haven't been in the office lately to take a look. I remember getting all those lists of corrections that Renee Lewis would send us. They were computer printouts. And I've narrowed it down to what I think is 2000, but I don't have any minutes that far back, and I doubt you don't on your website either. But it would really help if we could insert a formal BGN decision date into GNIS for Island of Hawaii, because it's not there now. It should be. Right now, we only have Hawaii itself, 1914 and 1954, as previous decisions. We really should reflect when it was formally changed. And I have to assume at some point the Hawaii board voted on that. So do you have access to records from 2000 timeframe that you can poke around?
I do. They're in I think they're going to be mostly in paper form.
Yeah. I know I have a binder at the office that's labeled Hawaii, and it's probably in there, one of those printouts. So I'll certainly check next time I'm in the building. So maybe I can answer my own question. But if you wouldn't mind poking around, that we can make sure that GNIS actually reflects the correct name.
Sure. I'll look in our files.
Excellent. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Jenny.
Thanks, Jenny. Hey, Arthur, if you needed help with looking through paper files, please let me know. I'm just down the street. I can probably get some time to go help you out with that.
Okay, that'd be great. Thanks.
Does that make sense, Bobby, to you? I don't know how much you're still communicating with folks at the park. If any federal product, any Park Service product, if you're referring to the island, it's got to be Island of.
Yeah, we absolutely understand that. The thing that we talked about a couple meetings ago was the military. The KMC, the Kilauea Military Camp people, who have offices on Oahu somewhere, and they need all this is about is educating people, right? That's all it is. It's not at all complicated. Nobody needs to get all excited or exercised. I'm looking in the GNIS right now for the summary report for Island of Hawaii, including the Okina. The entry date was September 30th, 2003. And then Island of Hawaii without the Okina was published on January 1st, 2000.
Yeah, I wouldn't take that 2000 date with any weight at all,
Yeah,
Bobby. That was just the
certainty.
date. But prior to 2000, everything just was in GNIS with a
Right,
year,
right,
only a
right.
year. And so when we converted, we had to plug in a date.
Yeah,
And I guarantee the BGN was not meeting on on New Year's Day
right,
or
right,
doing
right.
any database work on New Year's Day. So take that January 1st. It's almost like a default, just to
With
kind
a
of
grain of salt.
a pound of salt. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
The entry date, that's probably not meaningful either because, I mean, island of Hawaii, I mean, obviously it would have been, or Hawaii would have been named on topo maps when GNIS was first
Hmm.
established in the 1970s. So I'm not
Right.
quite sure what that entry date even refers to. It makes no sense to me at all. I mean, I could certainly look around, but I don't think that was the date of the decision. So it could be. So Arthur, yeah, if you're going to look at records, maybe if you wouldn't mind extending the search from say 2000 up through 2003, see if there's a record of a Hawaii board meeting when this was actually voted on. That would be very helpful. Because I think the way we
Jen-
left it was you sent me those lists, or Renee sent me the lists, and then I would put them in GNIS with like the following month as the formal BGN decision date. So somewhere in that 3-year time frame is the most likely window. So yeah, thanks, Bobby. Good catch.
So this is a little question for clarification, perhaps. I think Lily suggested that perhaps, and I'm just trying to be as vague as possible, that we need to figure out where did the name Hawaii originate in order for us to accomplish our goals here. And I really don't know that that's possible. We'll never find out who named it Hawaii, you know, except from some random thing in the old newspapers or a really, really old chant. But I think most of that stuff's been lost. You know, it's like trying to figure out who named Niihau. You know, all of that stuff. It's like we have all of these names in common use and nobody pays much attention to who did that hundreds of years ago. And yeah, the epithets are all important. You know, Moko Keawe, Hawaii Nui Kuauli. Anyway, I'll be quiet.
Thank you, Bobby.
You're welcome.
I think I saw Kapa will be leaving shortly, so but thank you, Kapa, for your time if you have to leave. But yeah, if maybe we can try and do we have anything more that we need to identify specifically for the pig? If this is we have people,
Well,
we
I
have
think
there was
somebody
also
wanna make a-
timeline, right? As well.
yeah, but it sounds, am I not hearing this right? It sounded to me like there was some feeling that there should not even be a pig.
Yeah,
Right.
I'd like to jump in here and just suggest that we try something less involved, like Bobby said. Let's try an op-ed or reaching out to the news. I mean, we got to remember here it was one news story, one local news. You know, I don't know if it was a broadcast news or if it was written news that put out the information first, and that got in everybody's mind. I think we should try a very similar avenue first to try to explain the background. And you know, again, educate people and just let them know what it is, why this even ended up on their radar, and what it is HBGN does. And if we still are getting commentary, feedback, pressure, you know, or just people want to talk more about it, then we can make a decision to form a pig. And I think the 3 board members who have volunteered would be willing to continue to volunteer at that later date. But to my mind, either some kind of written op-ed or some kind of sit-down interview with a news agency would accomplish a lot more, at least on the front end, before we try to go the pig route. Those are my thoughts.
I don't think outreach or communication is a board action kind of item. I think the board action item, if you want to make a motion, is to, in this case, for this particular item, would be to not form a pig. And then our future decision would, our future action item would be to take up the discussion about what the name of the island should be. But the outreach, I don't think that requires a board action.
Okay.
It's not really ever.
I also think we could do that today to vote whether or not to have a pig. And then in the future, we could simply have a motion if that's the desire of the committee to change the name to Hawaiʻi as the primary name and Island of Hawaiʻi to be a variant, and then see if there's any need for us to go further. I mean,
And-
people might see that change and we might not need to go through great lengths to try to to try to get ahead of the story. Or we could do what Bobby said and just write an article in Oha, Kawaiola. Either way, I didn't want to leave you hanging. I do have to go to a meeting. So do we want to vote on whether or not we want to have a pig? Because I'm not sure if we're going to have quorum once I leave.
Sure. Yeah, I'm happy to put up a motion to not form a pig at this point in time.
Second.
There was a motion to not establish a pig for this issue of research on the name of Island of Hawaiʻi. Second by Kapa. Any discussion? Hearing none. Any opposed? All right, motion carried. Mahalo.
Thank you.
Mahalo kapa.
I'm sorry, I wasn't taking notes. Who made the motion?
Oh, I did. Arthur.
And then
Meyer.
who seconded?
And Kapa.
Kapa.
Okay, thanks.
Do we want a further discussion, maybe for a later meeting when Kapa is present, to decide to change the name from Island of to just
Yeah, it's not on the agenda today, so we can't do
Gotcha.
it today.
Gotcha. Thanks, Arthur.
But in related to that or associated with that, if we do put it on the agenda at a future meeting, that might be the time for outreach, to sort of explain. And at that time too, we'll have a more fleshed out description of what that agenda item is about. Won't be as mysterious.
Also, I just wanted a clarifying question. As Jenny mentioned, for the federal end, Island of Hawaiʻi needs to be used on all federal documents. Is that also true for state documents?
Correct.
So we have to go with the formal the name.
Theoretically, yeah.
Yes.
Does anybody do it? I doubt it.
Or yeah.
But
okay.
yeah, by statute, state agencies are
Are
supposed to use the
official name.
it's
The
for.
official name.
No one's gone to jail.
Well, go to jail. Well, because I was also wondering, because we have well, I don't know if it makes sense for this instance, but we've identified the alternate name as equal to the official name within the state. If that would be
Yes, it
any
would.
issue.
It would.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's some other things I want to say about that.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's another question. All right, thank you all for this discussion. Move on. Next, discussion and decision on select featured names on Oahu.
So the remaining names on the short list that we had are included in your packet.
So these are the Alapenapu, Alau, Gulch, and Alepali still.
Alapenapool, Alay, and Palau, I think we decided at the last meeting, we made it, but there were some other names that were on.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, sorry. The
That's
hectic months.
Yeah. And
there we
among those
Unknown.
is Punchbowl.
Right.
So included in the meeting packet is a reprint of the document that Bobby was able to get to us from Forcare Meyer. And because you probably haven't had time to read through this, it's a 90-page document. I would suggest that maybe we table the discussion about Hawaiian until the next meeting, unless you have had time to go through it.
I really have not, but I can make time for it for the next meeting. Happy to. And I'd like to, since it's very thorough.
Yeah.
I'd like to get a chance to go over everything before we have a meaningful discussion.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's give everyone a chance to go through this document as it is quite thorough, and can be more all on the same page at our next meeting.
Fortunately, I think in the printed printouts that we have here,
Mhm.
I don't have the other
The
names
names on the list.
on the list. Yeah. I know Diamond Head is on there.
On page 20 of the PDF, Diamond Head,
You mean this is?
Yeah,
You gave us that.
Ani Nui.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's not in the package.
Oh, I got this.
Pick it out.
Okay.
Oh, you're not even looking at the one.
No, she's not.
I brought the one that I printed out myself.
So,
Oh, so you might not have it.
I
here,
don't know.
but-
I'm sorry, Meyer, what was that again?
Oh no, I'm looking at page 20 on the PDF, and there's Ani Nui Ridge, Api Spring, and Avanui Gulch are the additional names on that list with Punch Bowl. With Diamond Head being the first of them.
Should we just
Has anybody found anything about those other names other than Diamond Head and Punch Bowl?
No, the last
No.
three I looked up and I didn't find.
Okay,
Yeah.
Because
I
we
don't have
did
any-
it already, right? 'Cause
yeah,
that's-
allow and allay.
Which is in state parks.
So allow and allay, we decided at the last meeting to mark as sevens, that we couldn't really find anything definitive, more definitive. But if something comes up, we'll consider it.
Allow is used in common usage by all the fishermen. Even the oldest fishermen, because I walked along the coastline when we were trying to create the designated road down there. So I wonder, when does common usage become history?
Oh, yeah, and you weren't here at the last meeting.
No,
I
that's why
think
I'm sorry.
We mentioned that, somebody mentioned that
Mm.
you were gonna do some, you had
Yeah,
maybe some sources from state park.
if I have time, I'll try to look. I think
'Cause we
Meyer
can- we
got
can
most of
certainly
the
reconsider it,
maps,
yeah.
yeah.
And there was nothing on the maps. The maps were kind of inconclusive because
Mm.
it just said allow.
Right.
But it wasn't
Allow and
clear
allay,
that
yeah.
it was referring to
Gulch.
the goal.
They use it both for like inlets down below,
Yeah.
so it's like a place name, I think.
Um,
But I doesn't it mean branch, and that the stream that does come down, or it does have a branch in it. I don't know if that means anything or not.
so
Anyway, if I find anything more, I will bring
yeah,
it up.
because it's a 7, so we can certainly
Mm.
talk about it again if we have something more. But do we want to do 7s for these remaining names? Anybody think they might have some leads or possibility?
I don't have any leads currently, but I don't want to close the door on them. You know, a lack of information doesn't mean that it isn't out there. So yeah, I'm open to a 7 because it allows us to revisit, right?
Yeah.
I just don't have anything currently.
Yeah.
So a diamond head's going to be tricky because there's a lot going both ways.
Yeah, so I'm not talking about Diamond Head or.
Oh, sorry, just yeah.
It's,
The other
remaining names.
remaining names.
Aniani Nui.
Well, they sound descriptive to some extent. It's, look up the Hawaiian meaning of the
Oh.
name and stuff. Other people see the same.
So is there a motion to change names to 7s?
Would you like to make one?
Sure. I just want to be real specific. What names again? I want to make sure I'm talking about the right ones.
It's the ones on page 20.
20. Okay, so Ani Nui Ridge, Api Spring, and Avanui Gulch.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I make a motion that we change the status number to 7 for Ani Nui Ridge, Api Spring, and Avanui Gulch.
Any second.
I'll second the motion.
All right. Any discussion? Any opposed? Okay. Motion carried. Does that complete the current list of?
Yes,
approved
so what I
feature
would like
names?
to do is, for next month's meeting, send you a new list,
Yes.
the next 10, but I'll leave,
Done and principal one.
Also, I would, I don't know if this day, what is the first Tuesday
Tuesday.
of the month is,
Yeah.
the best day, because we're having difficulty getting,
Mhm.
more than 4 members at a time
Mhm.
generally. So maybe at the next meeting, if we have,
Another
again, a pretty full meeting, we
suggestion.
can talk about what works.
Of timing, yeah.
'Cause I know Kapa is taking on some new responsibilities at UH, so she's really busy. Might have to
Lots of time and
work
things, yeah.
work around her schedule.
Okay. We can do that. Have that discussion then.
Sure.
All right.
It's always has changed over time too.
Yeah, and
Certain
I know
teachers
with
and
school, with
Yeah, with
the
school starting up too
semesters,
and
yeah,
everything, yeah.
this is-
has shifted quite a bit.
All right. That takes us to the end of our agenda. So. Shall we adjourn?
move to adjourn.
Yeah. Anyone second?
I'll second.
All right. Adjourned. Thank you.